Yo, so I'm just back from the cinema. I went to check out the new rom-com Regretting You. So this is directed by Josh Boone. It was written by Susan McMartin. Okay. The film is then produced by Flavia Votti, Anna Todd, Robert Kulzer, Brunson Green. It is executive produced by, who have we got? Oliver Burbin, Pete Chippetta, Dave Franco, Warren Goz, Mckenna Grace, Samuel Hall, Colleen Hoover, Andrew Larry, Emily McGee, Michael Ruffstein, Anthony Titanegro, John D. Wagner, and Allison Williams. Nate Walcott handled the score. Cinematography, we have Tom Orr. Okay. Editing the piece is Mark Clark and Rob Sullivan. Okay, so Nancy Naylor, I should say, was behind the casting. Production design, we have Brittany Hates. Art direction, we have Clara Martinez. Nicholas Urbano is set decoration, with costume design from Erin Knight. On hair and makeup, we have Jessica Craig, Leo Satkovich, Ashley Sedmak, Annie Tague, Tracy Walker. Okie dokie. So, what else do we have? Right, we have Keith Splinter Davis, Michelle Fischella, Heather Hayes, Sandoval Lebron, Andrea McKelly, Bayland Rippon Kruger, Lacey Robinson, Evelyn O. Vaccaro, B. Zhang. Right, they were all down with the stunts. And in the film, people, we have got Allison Williams as Morgan Grant. Right, she is married to Chris Grant, played by Scott Eastwood. They have a daughter called Clara Grant. Okay, so Morgan also has a sister called Jenny Davidson, who is played by Willa Fitzgerald. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I say who's playing the roles? I think I just said roles, didn't I? Jesus Christ, people. Okay, let's do that again. Allison Williams was Morgan Grant. I believe I did say that, right? She is married to Chris Grant, who is played by Scott Eastwood. Their daughter, Clara Grant, is played by Mckenna Grace, okay? Now, Morgan has a sister, Jenny Davidson, played by Willa Fitzgerald. Jenny is married to Jonah Sullivan, who is played by, well, no. They're together, I should say, but they're just about to get married, right? And Jonah is played by Dave Franco. Okay, right, boom. Now, Clara's best friend is Lexi, played by Sam Morelos. Okay. Clara likes Miller Adams, who is played by Mason Thames. Mason's grandpa, Hank Adams Sr., is played by Clancy Brown. Okay. sorry, Millen. I said Mason, didn't I? Miller. He's grandpa, right? Miller's best friend is Efren, played by Ethan Costanilla. We've got Miller's dad, who is Hank Adams Jr., played by Luc Pierre Rones. There is, who else do we have? Oh, well, there's Elijah, right? Elijah is Jonah and Jenny's kid, and he's played by William Burnham Simmons. Elijah's a baby, right? Doesn't have to do that much. Who else do we have? Okay, so the priest who does the service is played by Daniel Smith. The ER desk attendant was played by Alicia Cuthbertson. There's Tonya, played by Marcel LeBlanc. All right, the doctor was played by Kurt Yule. A younger version of Clara was played by Aubrey Brockwell. Another baby that played Elijah was Ryan Connor Simmons. Right. Yeah, that's it, really. That's our main cast. So the gist is this, right? It centers on the strained relationship between young mother Morgan Grant and her teenage daughter Clara, exacerbated by Morgan's husband Chris's tragic death that forces them to navigate life's challenges together. Now, this is based on a book by the same name from Colleen Hoover. I believe the book came out in 2019. I might be wrong, but I do believe that was it. Okay, so yeah. Now, film starts, right, and Jonah and Jenny kind of get together. You know, he disappeared for a bit. He's come back. They hook up because they were dating, right? So he disappears. He comes back. They meet, get together, get it on. Jenny gets pregnant, right? So they're on the beach watching fireworks. She's like, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh. Then we jump forward 17 years. Okay, so yeah, we see oh no, my bad. It wasn't Jenny. Yeah, it was the other one. He was talking to the other girl who they met up with, and she said she's pregnant, right? So yeah, I forgot. I mean, everyone looks a bit dissimilar, you know what I mean? It's kind of confusing. So, but yeah, Morgan tells Jonah that she's pregnant. All right, so we jump forward 17 years, and yeah, now that pregnancy has turned into Clara. Okay, boom. And so, you know, everyone's happy and blah, 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 right? So, yeah, they've got Clara. Now, Jonah and Jenny have just had a baby, Elijah. And, you know what I mean? Like, they're all in each other's lives. I mean, you know, Morgan and Jenny are sisters, so, you know, it makes sense. But they're all friendly and they hang out together and all of that jazz, right? So we have this. And, yeah, like, so that's all happening. And it's Morgan's birthday, right? Clara's on her way. She bumps into Miller, gives him a lift home. So then we get, you know, that whole situation because she's got a crush on Miller. He's got a girlfriend, right? Which, that whole situation is just, I mean, the film is mad predictable, right? It's exactly what you think it's gonna be, which I guess is not a surprise. If I'd known this was a adaptation of a Colleen Hoover book, yeah, I kind of would go, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I would know exactly what's going to happen. I wouldn't be shocked, right? Not that I'm shocked, but it's just kind of like you watch these things and you think, oh, maybe this might be good. But then if you know certain things, then you can pretty much predict what it's going to be. You know what I mean? And then when you look at everything involved, right? Josh Boone, he directed The Fault in Our Stars. He directed, he directed New Mutants, which, boy, you know what I mean? Oh, boy. And then you've got the writer, Susan McMartin, who, she co-wrote that first After film. So I think when you get who's involved, that gives you an understanding of what this will be. You know what I mean? Now, if you like their stuff, then boom, you are in for a treat, right? But you're watching this film and like there's so many things which are meant to be this big obstacle. It's not an obstacle, right? Because it's just like all you have to do is say a thing and then it's solved. Right? Like there's certain things that make no sense whatsoever. Right? There's this whole kind of bit in the film of moving a road sign. Right? Moving a road sign so then a house falls into the city limits and that means they can order pizza from a certain spot, right? But here's the thing. That's not how shit is judged. You know what I mean? Because they're using their computer, right? So when they say, oh, where do you live? They'll type the postcode in and that tells them where the house is. You know what I mean? They don't go and, go track the road signs. Like, how are you going to track a road sign? The road sign means nothing. So that whole thing is pointless and odd, right? It makes no sense to write that because it's, as I said, they don't go by that. They're using a computer. They're using Google Maps or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was a weird thing to have in the film, But that's just one oddity, you know what I mean? Like there's a bit when Clara's just like, I really need to smoke a joint right now, right? But then she's like, I've never smoked, right? So she's never smoked. She's never tried weed, but she's like, oh, I really need to smoke a joint, which absolutely makes no sense, right? There's the thing being, the easiest thing for a kid to get is alcohol. That's the easiest thing, right? You fake ID. If you look like you might be of age, you know what I mean? Or you get someone else to go get it for you, especially if you've never smoked, right? I don't think you're going to be like, oh, I need to smoke weed, right? Now, if all your friends smoke weed, you know what I mean? Maybe you've smelled it and you're curious, but you know what I mean? But if no one is smoking it, you don't smoke, you're not going, I want to smoke weed. It's just weird. It's weird. You know what I mean? Like, there's this, like, the big thing that happens at the start of the film, right? Now, certain information is found out about it. And you have Jonah, obviously, going, okay, I think this probably happened, You know, you get the impression that Morgan is trying to blank that thing out, right? Now, it's weird that no one else is going, oh, yeah, that obviously that must have happened, right? And it's just like, it's not like no one knows like the basics of what happened, right? Everyone knows that. And it's like, you can't tell me that no one is gonna say, oh, that doesn't add up. That situation makes no sense whatsoever. You know, but it's trying to pretend that everyone's oblivious of the obvious, which is bonkers. Like, this film is about emotion. You feel me? It's based on so many levels of emotion, right? Of, you know what I mean? There's sadness, there's regret, there's betrayal, you know what I mean? Love. So many things, right? Confusion, so many things here. The problem is the expression of emotion is just one beat. You know what I mean? Like, Allison Williams only gives us one tone. Right? There's not this nuance of this roller coaster. Because that's the thing, man. Like, if all of these things have happened, yo, you're gonna be so up and down. But even if, right, if you're trying to be stoic, you know what I mean? Like, that's something else. But from her, we just get this one level. You know what I mean? It's hard to buy into the incident when you are not given enough from your actors, you know? So it's very, it's a little frustrating, man. It's a little frustrating. It's kind of like, because, you know what I mean? Like, these books are kind of, I guess you would say they're like young adult chick lit, right? I think that they're the categories for these books, right? But it's kind of like they think that this audience won't understand, right? These different degrees of, you know, it's like how a lot of time children's authors write things so basic that you're just like, wait, is this for a baby? You know what I mean? And it's like meant to be for an 8-year-old. And you're like, I do believe an 8-year-old would understand what this is. You know what I mean? But they're writing it so down. You know what I mean? Because they think the audience is dumb. And I think it's just like they believe the audience is so dumb that they are portraying everything in this mad basic way, right? It's like a lot of the subsidiary characters, they might as well not be there. You know what I mean? They're just one note, right? Hank, Miller's grandpa, right? He basically has nothing to say. You know, even though, right, certain information were given on Hank, right? There's a lot happening for this dude, but he has nothing. There's absolutely nothing. It's, you know, it's like Clara's best friend, Lexi. Again, she is kind of meant to be the comic relief. You know, there's this one bit where this kind of deep conversation is going on. And then all of a sudden, she pops up off the sofa and it's like, hey, we're going to be late for school. And it's a Saturday, right? But the thing being, right, she's Clara's best friend. She stayed over. She ain't sleeping on the sofa. Like, Clara's got a double fucking bed, if not a king-size bed, right? Girls usually just crash out together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know any girls who are like, oh, you sleep on the sofa. You know what I mean? It's some bizarre shit. The film is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. They're like, yo, we get one line of going, right? So there's someone saying, I don't want to be the second choice. And someone says, like, if anything, the other girl is the second choice. You were always my first choice. And the question is, if they're the first choice, why go with the second choice? You know what I mean? Because as far as we know, that the girl who's like, I don't want to be the second choice, she's single. So it's just like, if she's the first choice, ask her out, right? If she's single, ask her out. Like, she's the first choice, supposedly. So why is my man not just asking her out? Like, it makes no sense. And it's not like he's going, oh, I was too shy to ask you out, right? Or I thought you were dating someone. No. So you're just like, wait, that sentence makes no sense. What are you saying? What's happening? Oh, man. You know, it's the cast is good, right? This is a crazy thing. It's not like it's a terrible cast. But as I say, like, look, there's nothing wrong with the direction. You know what I mean? It's fine, right? It's not exceptional or groundbreaking, but it's fine, right? You don't go, oh, the direction was terrible. No, that was all fine. Right? The beats of the film, like just those basic things, you know, wardrobe, sound, all of those things are fine. But it's just the story is just lacking that emotional hit. You know what I mean? It's just too simple. Right? It's way too simple. We get one relationship in the film where you're just like, what? You know what I mean? Because there's nothing building to it. Right? It's just like, oh, have you met this person? I don't like, and then all of a sudden they're dating. And you're just like, wait, what? Like, why? How are they dating? You know what I mean? And that's this story. Now, throwing these two people together kind of make it convenient because now you're like, they're all together hanging out, blah, blah, blah. But story-wise, it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? And that is the problem. Now, here's the thing. These aren't my films. You know what I mean? And you're like, why the fuck did you watch the film, Kevin? I watched the film because you never know, right? Sometimes you'll watch something and you'll be like, yo, I really enjoyed that. You know what I mean? That surprised me, man. That was really good. You know? Like, I remember going to see Drop, right? I'm not a fan of Scream or, Final Destination. Like, they're not my things. I thought Drop was done really well. You know what I mean? And so there's the thing. That's why you go. Because you can always be surprised, right? You go in with no expectations. Like, because I don't watch trailers. I had no clue what this was. I didn't know who was directing it, who it was based on a book. You know what I mean? So you don't know. So I go to watch it and it's just disappointing. But as I say, if I'd known the director, the writer is based on this book, I'd know what to expect. You know what I mean? So if you liked that other, gosh, what was the other book? Right? There was that big book from Colleen Hoover that oh God, what is it? Because there's all that controversy about it right now. The one with oh, what's her name? It Ends With Us. Yes. If you're a fan of It Ends With Us, you know what I mean? I think you will enjoy this film. Right? If you like The Fault in Our Stars, if you like the after films, you know what I mean? Just if those type of films are your jam, then people, right, you will enjoy Regretting You. You know what I mean? Like that Sydney Sweeney, what's his name? Pal. Oh my days. It's not Jason. Josh? Glenn. That's it, Glenn. If you like the Sydney Sweeney Glenn Powell film, you know, what is it? Anyone But You. Boom. Then, yeah, you will like Regretting You. Okay, so this is in the cinema right now. It's just dropped, people. So if it sounds like it's your jam, head to your nearest Cineplex and enjoy. You know what I mean? Look, it's not my thing, but it could be yours. So here's my thoughts on Regretting You.